So guys, today we're talking about something that a lot of people are thinking about, but not a lot of people are willing to talk about. It's GLP-1 weight loss drugs. Are you someone who's been thinking about taking this? Are you someone who's been struggling with your weight? Well, today we're gonna have an amazing conversation with one of my awesome clients and give you guys some perspective on is it right for you or not. I'm your host, Coach Cory Fernandez, guys. Welcome to the Excelsior Health Podcast. This is the podcast for busy professionals and busy parents that are looking to lose fat, build muscle, and increase their strength. What we do on this podcast, guys, we take the complicated, confusing, messy things about training and fitness and nutrition, and we break it down to simple strategies and tactics so that way you guys can get real results and transform your health. All right, my guest today, I got my girl Daphna in the building. Welcome.
Thank you.
So she's someone who actually does listen to the podcast, and she always gives me good, positive feedback. And how I invited her on the podcast today is I recently had done an episode talking about Oprah and basically just kind of going through the context of, hey, should people feel like they have the obesity gene? Should they be thinking about GLP-1s? And I had that good conversation. And one thing that Daphna always does that I appreciate, she always lets me know when she loved an episode, when there was something that stood out for her, but then also what she does as an adult is she lets me know if there's something she disagreed with. So we had a great conversation back and forth about it. And I would say most of what we said was about 90% was what we agreed, but there was like the 10% that we disagreed on some things, which is okay. That's what adults do is they talk, they conversate, and they learn from each other. So I thought it would be an amazing opportunity to have her on the podcast and share a little bit about her story coming from someone who has used the GLP-1 drugs to help her get over the curb of losing some weight, but also as someone who's been a member of TFW Sauga for now, maybe 3 months almost? No, 2 months.
2 months.
Yeah, so still fresh. So giving that kind of new student perspective. All right, so I guess first question is, give me a little understanding of like life before you decided to take the GLP-1 drugs.
Yeah.
Some of the challenges, some of the things that you were going through.
Yeah, thanks, Cory, and thanks for having me on this. I appreciate the opportunity to be the voice of, being able to get some help when help is needed. Mm-hmm. And that's really what, in my opinion, the GLP-1 drugs are meant to do, is to be of help. And so you and I, one of the points we agree on is that it's not a miracle cure. Right. My journey is quite extensive. Back in 2017, I was at the peak of morbid obesity, and I had bariatric surgery and quickly lost about 126 pounds. Sure. And then really struggled with some of the things. Some trauma came to rear its ugly head, as well as some other things in my journey. And I regained about 85 pounds of what I had lost, and it was devastating.
And even for a second, when you say morbidly obese,
yeah,
what was that?
So I'm only 5'1", and I was over 300 pounds. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so morbidly obese. Activities every day were difficult. Walking, if I was going to go shopping at the mall, I would take Advil before I went because my knees hurt. And it was just really difficult to live and be in an obese body. And so bariatric surgery was amazing, lost a ton of weight, and then the struggles, regained 85 pounds. And it was devastating.
What do you think, like what was the process of regaining the weight?
Yeah, so there were a couple of really big things. So one of the things with bariatric surgery is it's not talked about enough. It's not enforced, I'd say, enough. So my bariatric center said, don't drink for 6 months. No alcohol. Alcohol. And I didn't drink for 9 months, any alcohol. And then a lot of people struggle with alcohol problems after bariatric surgery. Unfortunately, I was one of them. Mm-hmm. I also started having trauma sort of rear its ugly head. I don't know where it came from, but oddly, in this smaller body, I started having all of these fears of being kidnapped. And I felt really unsafe in the world. In
like the almost new body that you have?
Well, it was weird, yeah. So here I was in this smaller body, still obese, still 187 pounds.
5'1", yeah.
Yeah, but anybody can pick up and carry an 187-pound person. And I genuinely don't know where it came from, but I know the trauma response kicked in where my body felt like it needed to carry more weight to keep me safe.
So part of it was like a little bit of the mental aspect, like you said, the trauma going through that kind of led back to gaining some weight.
100%.
Gotcha.
So the two things combined, the alcohol, and with alcohol came overeating,
Yep.
right? Not tracking, not looking at my calories, not being protein forward. And so bad habits came in. And it wasn't long before I regained a whole bunch of weight. And then it was devastating. How do I lose it? But first I needed to really focus on getting myself well. And so I quit alcohol. It's been over 5 years now.
Good for you, girl.
Yeah, and so I don't drink at all.
Good.
Well, water. I drink a lot of things, but no alcohol.
Yeah.
And it was hard, but it was really important to my health, my well-being, my ability to thrive in life. Alcohol really became consuming in a way that it's never been a challenge pre-bariatric surgery.
One thing with the bariatric surgery, I had a former client that did go with it. She was with us for years. She lost a good amount of weight, and then she went through this procedure, lost even more. You and her said the same thing, and you probably don't even remember. It was a quick thing that you said in the back. She said, you think people think it's a shortcut or like it's a easy, but they don't know how difficult life is after the procedure. And I would say, even if I'm being honest, on my side of it, that's kind of the mentality I've had is like, oh man, like that's kind of like a shortcut. Like don't do that. It's not really that good for you. But from what I've heard both of you guys say, man, it's hard dealing with that surgery and kind of recovering from that.
Yes. The physical aspect is one thing, but the emotional journey is unbelievable. And it's so many things. It's things that, so, for a living, I'm an executive coach. So I am trained as, what's called a life coach. And so I work with clients on this kind of thing all the time. I'm also a trauma certified coach. And so I work with clients on healing trauma. And so here I am equipped to deal with all of this and not knowing some of the things that were true for me. And here they come and they're rearing their ugly head. And they're like right in my face. And I'm well-resourced as a coach. I have lots of coaches in my circle. I'm also well-resourced to do a lot of work on myself. And I'm extremely stubborn, extremely strong-willed. And so I am not going to be a victim to trauma rearing its ugly head and sort of keeping me small in life. I didn't go through all of this to now be small emotionally and big again physically. Like I didn't go through all of this for that. Alcohol was another thing. I just quit drinking. And as long as I don't drink, my brain doesn't want it. And I know that. And so I just don't drink. I can be around it. I have no problem with it, but I physically can't drink. And that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that because my life is so much better for all of the other things. My sister had even asked me, if you knew you could never drink again, would you have done it? Like, in a heartbeat, I just never would have drank. I wouldn't have had that as part of my journey.
Right.
But I am well-resourced, so I was able to heal my trauma, deal with the alcohol. And I really focused on that first before I even worried about losing the weight again, because I knew if I tried to lose the weight again, I would be right back where I was emotionally, and I wouldn't be able to be successful.
And that's one point that I do want to hit home on is our weight, our bodies, our health, like it's a reflection of the things that sometimes we go through in our life. So it's very normal that people have some sort of experience in their life and it sets them on this path. And thankfully for yourself, like you said, is, hey, I'm strong-willed, I'm stubborn, but I had certain resources and certain knowledge and strategies and maybe even people to help redirect me. A lot of people don't have that, right? So they stay on this path much longer than they should. So I think before you just think about weight loss, like I gotta lose weight, confront the challenges. Is it a physical challenge? Usually it's some sort of mental relationship. There's something going on. tackle that first, and then the whole weight loss and fat loss, that thing becomes a little bit easier, right? So what I want to know from you is you kind of did some healing. What was this transition now of like, hey, I still need to get healthier. I still need to lose some weight. When did the light bulb go off that, you know what, maybe I need to check out these prescription drugs and do something that helps me lose this weight? Because I've been struggling and I haven't been able to do it on my own.
Yeah.
What was that kind of transition?
So once I was emotionally ready to tackle it, I talked to my doctor about it. Ozempic had really, it actually wasn't even at the height of its popularity yet. And I don't even remember when it was, but probably 2022 when I started Ozempic. And I had asked my doctor, so, the honeymoon phase of the bariatric surgery and a lot of the value, right? The hormones in the body and the hunger cues being put at bay, those were gone. I still have physical restriction, but anybody who's done any kind of bariatric surgery knows how to get around that if you want to, right? And so the pull, the lure of the foods, the cravings, and we've talked about it, the obesity brain, from my experience, is different than somebody who has never had obesity. Yeah. And so I was back in the cycles of the obesity brain, and Ozempic being on the market, really one of the things it does is it changes the hunger and the satiety cues. It increases your feeling of fullness by delaying gastric dumping, it's called. So the food stays in your stomach longer, so you feel fuller longer. Not 100% true with bariatric surgery because our stomach is different, but still some effect of that. But really it's the hunger cues and the cravings. So I talked to my doctor about it. He sent me to a clinic to be seen by an internal medicine specialist, really to make sure that it was appropriate for me and my health situation. And so I was able to get on the medicine and quickly lost 60 pounds. And I will say that it's easy to lose weight when you first start a GLP-1 medication. You don't have to do a lot. The medicine is going to do a lot of it for you. And so I was able to lose 60 pounds. And then
180 to like 130, or were you a little bit?
So I was at about, 270.
This is you spiked back up.
Yeah. So now I had regained a lot of weight. I was at 269 to be exact. And I literally got down to 209 and I was stuck. I couldn't get further. Even focusing on nutrition, focusing on healthy habits, smaller portion, I was just where I was. And I had asked my doctor, so now Mounjaro has been approved in Canada, and I asked my doctor about switching to Mounjaro. I had been released by this other clinic, so my doctor was prescribing meds. He sent me to another clinic, incredible internal medicine specialist. She has been so supportive. And the program that they put me on, they did switch me to Mounjaro. But the program, they really, I was having monthly follow-ups, and they're really strict about the eating and getting very healthy with your eating. Protein forward, veg second, healthy fats, and in the weight loss phase, very limited carbs, but then they phase it back in. And really through, healthy choices, the Mounjaro, I was able to get down to the unbelievable weight for me of 130 pounds and really steadily. And so I'm still on Mounjaro, and I've been on Mounjaro for probably about 15 months, and really got down all of that weight in that time. And
one thing I want to ask, clarifying questions. When you did reflecting back now, would you have gone through the original procedure, or would you have just done GLP-1s? That's one thing I would like to know.
Yeah, I don't know. And I've talked to my internal medicine doctor, and she does think that eventually bariatric surgery is going to be something of the past. I don't know the answer, Cory. Yeah, it's a good question. I've thought about it. And I don't have an answer because when I had bariatric surgery, the meds weren't available. It's not something that ever presented, and I'm okay with having had it.
Had the experience?
Yeah.
What would you say from having this experience? Actually, no, another question before answering it. What's the difference between Ozempic and Mounjaro? Like, was there different side effects? Was there like...
So had I started Mounjaro first, I don't know what the side effects would have been. I had some pretty significant side effects on the Ozempic starting out. A lot of nausea. I'm prone to nausea anyway. Prone to migraines. My headaches, my migraines were killer. The nausea was to the point where I kept gravel in my desk because it would just hit me. The migraines were quite significant. I didn't expect the exhaustion that I felt. So I do have the benefit of working from home. And sometimes I would have 20 minutes between client calls, and I would have to set my alarm for 15 minutes and just take a nap. It was unbelievable. So yeah, there were a lot of side effects in the beginning, but they dissipated eventually. It took probably about 6-9 months for them to fully dissipate as the medication was titrating up. When I went on the Mounjaro, I didn't have any new side effects at all. Now, had I taken that one first, I don't know what my side effects would have been. Yeah.
Okay. So now let's say we're talking to the woman who, or men, but a lot of our clients are women. I would say probably...
We are seeing more and more men taking these medications, though.
And I'd say 70%, maybe 65% of our clients are women, but I'm sure, like you said, more men are being open to this and taking it as well. But right now we're talking to the woman who she's 100 plus pounds, 80 plus pounds from what she should be. She's sitting there, she's hearing your story, she's hearing different things on social media, she's listening to podcasts. She wants to know what were like the 1 to 3 pros that you stand by, that you feel very confident on, but also what are like the challenges that you were just kind of sharing a little bit, that like, listen, you have to be aware of these things. It's not like just some magic potion. Maybe give me your perspective on that.
Yeah. One thing I want to say about the pros is it really helps with craving and satiety. So feeling satisfied by a meal, and the feeling of fullness. Now, that being said, what it doesn't help with at all is food choices. And that is purely, we all get to decide what we consume. And I know you've talked about this in many of your podcasts. I can get, my 1,500 calories in a day by eating one meal a day. I go to McDonald's. Or I can have healthy, sustained nutrition. And so the pros are, it helps. It helps, it kickstarts weight loss. It allows you to feel successful. And for anyone who's struggled with obesity or, like me, morbid obesity, it is so hard to be successful, to maintain that success. And so it really kickstarts it. It really allows you to have that success and continue to make those healthy choices. And for me, that's been the biggest thing. Another con is I don't have insurance that pays for it. It's exceedingly expensive.
That's actually one of the questions I did want to know. Like, is it a monthly plan? Is it pay when you want? Like, how does that work out?
Yeah. So with those medications, listen, a lot of people, and so I'll circle back to that in just 1 second, because the other thing is, so from a diabetes perspective, these are drugs for diabetes, right? And they have been approved under different brand names for weight management. Prior to bariatric surgery, I did step into having type 2 diabetes. And then after I'd lost weight, it was really in remission. And then when I regained weight, my blood sugars were creeping back up. And so it was really important for me to keep my blood sugars at bay. And so the Ozempic does that, the Mounjaro does that. That being said, I don't have insurance. So for somebody else who's on the medication, if you have insurance paying for the drugs, amazing. If you don't, plan to spend easily $500 a month. And so one pen, depending on your dose, depending on which medication, in and around $500. And the pen is good for 4 injections, so approximately 1 month or 13 pens a year.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
What would be the biggest challenge that from you going through it, what's the biggest challenge and I guess thing that you want someone to be aware of?
I mean, the side effects are a challenge for a lot of people. But really, the biggest challenge is not doing enough to become the person you need to be to maintain the loss.
What do you mean by maintain the loss?
So it's easy to lose. Like, I lost 60 pounds really easily in the beginning. And then it was hard. And then I went on the Mounjaro and I lost a ton more weight, not so easily. I really had to focus on my food, focus on my intake. I started counting calories again and looking at my macros. And I don't do that every day, but I'm aware of it.
You educated yourself a little bit more to understand, hey, I need to do this stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I could easily stay on the medication and regain weight through food choices.
Yep.
And so the hardest thing is continuing to make the food choices. The hardest thing for people is to recognize, what is my self-responsibility in all of this,
Yep.
right? It is not a miracle. The other con that is well documented with the GLP-1s is muscle loss.
Yep.
And I'm 54, and I know that I am a weak version of who I used to be. And strength training has always been something I've quite enjoyed. I've been that person who has done personal training and different strength training, much more than cardio throughout my life. But it's been incredibly difficult to maintain and to get results from. But I know I don't want to be a frail old lady.
Yeah.
And so I got my food under control, my weight under control. I got to 130 pounds, and now I'm normal BMI for the first time in my life. I still have quite a bit of fat, and now it's time to gain strength and lose that fat.
Yep.
And so it's not about weight loss anymore. It's about fat loss and building strength.
Yep.
And I would even say, in the reverse order, it's for me about getting strong. I want to, go into my 80s and 90s, not having to have people take care of me, being self-sufficient and strong and active and vibrant.
Yep.
It didn't work this hard to not be vibrant in my later years. And I did a lot of research into strength conditioning gyms, or just sort of regular gyms. And I tried another one before, TFW Sauga, and nothing felt like home for me. And I had an opportunity to come here, and it's been really, really good. And you may or may not remember this. So in my first 5 weeks of training, right, because you do the body scans,
Body fat scans.
right? So I had gotten on the scale at that about the 5-week mark. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've lost 8 or 9 pounds of body fat. And you were like, no, that's probably not. It's an anomaly. And so we agreed I was going to do another weigh-in a few days later. I mean, sort of.
I was like, don't get too high. Like, it was a good weigh-in. Just be chill. Because you were like dancing. And then like, so I was just,
Because I could also tell the changes in my body.
Yeah.
Like, I really knew how my body was changing, and I could see that there was fat loss, and it felt surreal, right? The other thing is my weight hadn't changed. My weight had gone down, I think, 1 pound, but the body fat had gone down 8 pounds.
Yeah.
And so when we did
It was like 30, I think it was 36%, and it went to 31, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's somewhere about that time in terms of percent. Yeah.
Somewhere around there,
It's the same.
I think it had started even over, I think I had started at 39.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's called body recomposition, right? So like, that's what it means when you go through a journey where weight is not your concern anymore. You're at a healthy weight, but you might not have the look. You might not have the performance ability and what needs to change. is your body composition. You need to take that percentage of fat, you need to lower it down. The best way to do that is you have to get strong, right? That's called progressive overload. And then what also aids in that is not calorie restriction, because that's not the problem anymore. Your weight's at a proper weight. It's the right macros. So like, as she was saying before, protein, getting good carbs, getting good fats in there, that's what changes the whole equation. So one thing I do want to clarify, so this is kind of like my stance when it comes to this. I think when this became more popular in my circle, I remember I'm in many masterminds as I'm always trying to level up the business and grow and learn for our clients. It was like, guys, are you hearing about this? This is crazy. And like, people were really scared, but they were really, like, I would say, morally against it. And then as time has gone on, I've seen people in my circles shift a little bit to be like, listen, why did we even start talking about weight loss anyways as gyms? Like, that's like the hardest thing for us to do, is to get you to lose weight. What we can control is we can control you getting strong. We can control you building muscle. So that was started the conversation. And then now a lot of my people in my network, they are, I guess, I don't know if this is the right term, they're turning their gyms almost into like middlemen. Where if a client is like kind of interested in going that path, they might have the referral or the reference point to get there. I don't think I'm at that place, to be honest. But where I'm at, and I want to be clear, is I want someone to exhaust all the healthy options. But I also understand someone who's morbidly obese, that is 100+ pounds away, for them to come in a setting like this and work out is very difficult. It's almost impossible for them to do that. So I think I've shifted my mindset not to be like, hey, go take a GLP-1, lose 30 pounds for your vacation or for your wedding. No, I don't think that's the right thing to do. But if you're struggling and you're 100+ pounds away, you've been doing this for years, and this can make life a little bit easier, it can get the ball rolling, I'm in support of someone doing that. But the next thing that has to follow that is, if you're going to make that type of investment, you also got to make that investment into training, coaching. Maybe it's mental support, right? Maybe it's a therapist. Whatever it is you have to do the full picture to actually transform, because there's too much evidence out there and there's too much examples of people going the quick fix route and then putting themselves in harm because they've lost too much muscle mass and they're actually becoming sick. So that's where I stand in it. And I'm very, very grateful that you had the courage to come on here and just speak your truth and just be honest and say, hey, this is what I've done. Because a lot of people, I think there's a certain shame that comes with it, some people in certain circles. But I want to change that in the sense of, if you are that person who's gone through the path that Daphna has, and you've done the education and you've done the realization of like, man, I need to do this the right way. I need support. I need community. I need coaching to show me how to build muscle. We want to help you, right? Because we think we do that the best in Mississauga. And I just want to remind, if you're a busy professional, a busy parent, you can't just rely on the quick fixes. You got to make it a whole picture. That's how you ultimately transform your health. So I guess the last couple of questions that we'll wrap up with, Daphna, is you being someone who's been here maybe now month 2, because you were here for 5 weeks, you were going hard, you had a little break, and then now you're back. What's been your biggest breakthrough, I guess, in terms of the experience of saying like, man, this is a place that I feel good about?
Yeah. I mean, a few things. Cory, I love the environment. I said to you early on, one of the things I appreciate is every coach here not only knows my name and greets me by name when I come in, but they get my name right. And those little things make a big difference. This feels like community to me. And that's just been so powerful. And I've been to a lot of gyms. I have to tell you, as somebody who was morbidly obese, I've exhausted every option. I've tried it all, right? And probably most people have. And this is different. I love the buddy system. I love how much it feels like personal training and how much personal attention I get here to work on my form and make sure that I'm not hurting my back when I'm doing things. And the other thing is the coaches here push me beyond what I ever thought I could do. I did a cardio core class today, and I said to you in the class, who would have ever thought?
And just to give context, like cardio core is more like an athletic cardio workout. So today she was jumping, right? Like she's doing small plyometric jumps. She's doing athletic quick feet over a hurdle. You know what I mean? For someone who has been obese before, it's like now you're getting used to using this body. She's holding her plank. She's doing kettlebell swings. So even though I was pushing you and like kicking your butt a little bit, I was inside smiling a little bit, saying like, man, I bet this is a cool feeling for her to be able to do this type of stuff that she's doing.
And it is, right? It's completely unbelievable to me. And I finish these sessions, right? Whether it's a strength training session or it's the cardio core, and I'm like, wow, I did that. And I'm proud, and my confidence is coming. I've signed up for Mud Girl this summer. And, I've eyes on doing other things like that. Like, I'm really excited about what this is allowing me to experience in life beyond just being here.
Yeah, or beyond just losing weight, because that's really what it's about. It's not just to lose weight or lose body fat. It's to get control of your health so you can open up the door as a possibility of what you can do in your life. If you want to elevate your business, if you want to advance in your career, you want to attract the right partner in your life, you want to be a better role model for your kids. That's what I believe being healthy is. And that's what our message is about Training for Warriors. That's what this whole podcast is about, is raising the standards to chase excellence, right? So for my last question for you is, what is your final advice for the person who maybe is morbidly obese? Maybe they got 100+ pounds. They feel hopeless right now. There's a lot of information that they're unaware of. What's your advice to them?
Steps, phases. And so my advice to someone is pick one thing and do that. And if that is getting control over your food, do that, right? Having a healthy sleep schedule is another thing I've done. Phase one thing in at a time. And, if they want to start with strength training, start there. But start with one thing, and then you can phase all of the other things in. Continue to
think everything at once.
Oh, and that's part of it as well, right? And so we're always told we've got to do it all. If you want to lose weight, you've got to do these 5 things. And it's true, but not all at once.
Right.
And then have your resources close. Take time out, whether it's daily, weekly, to check in with yourself. Maybe you want to journal. Maybe you want to just meditate or just check in on how you feel about things. But notice when, maybe it's trauma is coming and rearing its ugly head, or maybe you're developing a belief system, or that victim mentality is coming in about it's hard, I can't do it. And have supports in place. You mentioned therapy, that's great. A trauma-informed coach could be really helpful as well. If you don't have resources for either of those things, talk to somebody close in your life who understands you, but get some help to get through those unexpected hurdles, because they will come.
Yep.
It is impossible for someone who struggles with morbid obesity that they won't have those emotional journeys along the way.
Love it. Amazing advice. And if I could just basically add on top of that, if you're someone who is stuck, right, and you're like really needing help in terms of the weight loss journey and really in terms of just regaining your health, where I want you to start is do research. Right? Don't just because your friend said this works or this doesn't work, just all of a sudden go and do something. Do the research, talk to the doctors, listen to the podcast, read the books, and get some more information before you make a quick decision. If you're someone who feels like you need to go that route, you do that. But then also my biggest thing I'm an advocate for is include the other parts. The walking, the sleep schedule. And then eventually, I think for some people, when they start to lose that initial weight, coming into a program like this, where you can actually do strength training, you can have a coach who's guiding you. I think in our 10 years, we've had over 6 or 7 people lose 100 pounds in this program. So I don't think that's our perfect avatar because it is somewhat group training, so it could be difficult at times. But I think our coaches and our systems help someone make that process easier, right? And I'm just right now such an advocate for people understanding the importance of strength training, having a coach. But I think the other benefit is just having good community, because when you come in this environment, you meet other people that are just like you, that have different traumas and different challenges, and it makes going through the journey that much easier. All right. So if you are someone who needs help with that, Training for Warrior Sauga is our program. We are Mississauga's #1 personal strength training program. You can visit our website at tfwsauga.com, and we have a 10-minute video that goes through all the details. Daphna, you killed it. Short notice, girl. You were prepared. You were ready. I appreciate you sharing your truth and just educating people on some of the pros and cons of taking GLP-1 and drugs. All right, girl.
Yes. Thanks, Cory.
Thank you so much. All right, guys, share this one out. Coach Cory signing out. Beastin'.